Hey guys, welcome back to What Do You Watch? I'm Kovacevich, and this is my Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 8 video. Alright, so first of all, can I just say, damn, what a good episode. Last season, Season 8, of course, we had the Oberyn Martell versus the Mountain fight, which of course ended in the pumpkin smashing head of Oberyn Martell, which was a huge disappointment to a lot of us. There wasn't really quite a disappointing moment for me in this episode, as in like a character dying that didn't want to die or a situation happening that I really wasn't into, but there was a kick-ass zombie White Walker fight scene. So before we get to that, before I dive into the awesomeness that was that, I want to talk about a few of the smaller points. So Reek finally tells Sansa that her brothers are actually not dead, which is a big deal for Sansa because she thinks her entire family is dead. I mean, obviously she doesn't know where Arya is, but besides Arya, everyone else is dead, or at least in her mind. But now she knows that Rickon and of course Bran are still alive. I mean, no one really cares where Rickon is at the moment. Hopefully he comes back and actually has a purpose. But Bran, of course, is up north learning from the Three-Eyed Raven and should hopefully be an amazingly badass character in the next season. Speaking of Starks that are still alive, Arya gets sent, well, she begins her first mission. So she goes off and does her research. She becomes another person. She goes down the docks and she meets this guy. She's selling oysters. It's her little bit to trick people into thinking she's someone else. And there's this guy, and he bets on captains going out to sea, and if they come back, they lose their bet, but if they die, they win their bet and their families get the money. Now, I mean, the guy obviously kind of a douchebag, and I'm looking forward, sure, to Arya getting justice, but I'm more looking forward to just Arya doing something that is moving her forward in her assassin training. So far, she's just been sweeping and cleaning dead bodies. So I'm pretty excited about that. Next up was just a really gratifying moment with Cersei in the Black Cells when she drinks the water off of the floor. I mean, there was a lot of other setup with Cersei this episode, getting her ready for this trial that it's probably not going to go that well for her. And they really only know what Lancel told them, so they don't really know about the twincest going on and the fact that both her sons, both the kings, former and current, are actually born of incest and are illegitimate. But still, that could come out. Someone might bring it up in the trial. Someone might know. Someone might suggest and might lead her into confessing. Because that's really her only way out right now. She's not going to get a fair trial. She could confess her sins and hope that she gets forgiveness, which, you know, she's not too familiar with. So up in the north, we have Sam, of course, still at the wall, still struggling. It's a short scene, him and Ollie, and I just really want to mention it. I mean, it's kind of foreshadowing a little bit of something that will come, most likely. But I just want to say that Ollie gave me a bad vibe. I was half expecting him to pull out a knife and just go kill Sam or something. I was expecting something to go wrong. And when Jon gets back with all the wildlings, I don't know what that kid's gonna do. He's gonna go off the handle. He's gonna do something a little crazy. And the question is it gonna be the kind of crazy that he's gonna get stopped? Or is it gonna be a shocking scene where maybe he kills someone important like he did last season? Or maybe he ends up trying to do something and then Jon has to cut his head off, which would be kind of sad since he's a pretty young kid and kind of taken under Jon's wing, which is weird because he also resents Jon for him trying to bring the wildlings into the game. Now, that scene led into obviously the most exciting part of this episode. But before I do that, I want to talk about something that I have been waiting so long for. It wasn't big action, it wasn't crazy exciting, but Tyrion and Daenerys, just the way that they interact between each other, with Tyrion giving her that really good advice on how to be a ruler in Westeros, which she is not familiar with. She's not familiar with Westeros at all. And he knows it really well. So it's really interesting to get her side of it and get his side of it. And we get a little early with them and Ser Jorah, and then she banishes Ser Jorah again. He's dying from grayscale. He's gonna die, which is why he goes back and goes into the fighting pits and kind of sells himself. But I just loved the interaction between Daenerys and Tyrion. I mean, I really see it all coming together. And once Varys comes into play, I mean, she's gonna have a really good team on her side, especially with those dragons. And once she starts utilizing those dragons even more, we've seen a little bit this season, but not enough. It's gonna be a crazy season next season. I mean, it's gonna be a while until she gets to Westeros. She needs ships. She can't get over there. But 6th season's gonna be that setup. 7th season, where hopefully we see her journey over there and start causing some chaos, which they're gonna need those dragons against the White Walkers, which is where I'm getting into next. So, Jon showing up at, I think it's called Hearthome, I'm pretty sure. You know, I was like, I'm glad that they got there real quick and they didn't have, like, the last time they went north, it took a whole freaking season for them to get to the actual wildlings. But I'm really glad that we got straight to the wildlings, we got straight to Hearthome, we got the interaction between Lord of Bones and his death. He's dead. There's no way he's not dead. That was hilarious. I mean, it was just like, we thought we were gonna have this tension, and then all of a sudden, boom, beat the crap. Just beaten to all kinds of shit. But then, over the hills comes this big cloud. I'm like, what is it? What's it gonna be? And like, just a big, like, I'm like, is it a storm or is it White Walkers? And then all of a sudden, they close the gates. People are banging, and then all of a sudden, it's like that scene from Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, when they're in there in the tomb, and all the orcs start coming in and breaking through the door, and they're shooting arrows through the door. It was kind of just like that with the gate, and then when they break through, and they're fighting them, they're holding them off, but then some of them start jumping down on top of the building where the giant is and the dragon glass. And so Jon goes in to say the dragon glass, and there is a White Walker, like a legitimate White Walker, not one of the whites that just gets raised from the dead. And he's breaking weapons, stabbing people through, and just causing all kinds of chaos. And then Jon goes up against him. Jon's getting destroyed. It's looking bad. And then Jon raises his blade to block what most likely would have been his final moment had his blade not been Valyrian steel, which stops the ice blade, and then he uses it to freaking shatter this White Walker, and it looked so amazing. Yes, when Sam killed the White Walker, it looked cool, but this was 10 times better, so much more badass. It was an actual fight. Jon looked really down on his luck, and then he just blows that ass to bits. Amazing. So Jon makes it back to the ship, as we know, and I'm really, because he looked down, he looked down, maybe out, but we know they're not going to kill off Jon Snow at this point. But then the Night's King, the White Walker with the crown kind of horns of ice, he's staring Jon down. He knows there's gonna be this guy. Something's gonna come down between us, and we're gonna have a big old battle, a big old kick-ass fight at some point. But there's also some kind of intrigue in Jon Snow. Maybe he wants him to use him for his own devices, but we just don't know. But then at that moment when he raises up the dead, which is something that all White Walkers can do, but when he raises them up, it's just that moment where you're like, fuck, shit's getting crazy. Because if you saw that opening shot with all the wildlings, there was a tiny little portion that was behind the wall. The majority of them were out there and got turned to whites. We only saw the people around the shore raised up, but all those other dead raised up as well to make a gigantic army. So adding to the army they already had, they added the majority of the wildlings that Jon was trying to get. It was almost a battle between the White Walkers and Jon Snow to recruit the wildlings as an army. an amazing episode 8. I can't wait for episode 9. I really can't wait till season 6 when all this starts to pan out, but hopefully season 6 won't be as much of just building as this season was. Up until this point, we've just been building and building and building. Yeah, there have been some moments, there's been some character interactions we were waiting for, but this was when we finally got some badass action and some amazing moments that will really stick with me. I mean, there's been some episodes that have been great and great setup, but I just don't remember them as well. This episode will be remembered. First of all, Tyrion and Daenerys meet, like actually getting an interaction for the first time, and then second of all, just some awesome Jon Snow against the White Walkers battle. Alright guys, that's all I got for you this week. Be sure to go down in the comments, leave a comment. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this amazing freaking battle between the White Walkers and the Wildlings and the Night's Watch that came with Jon Snow. Let me know what you thought of it, because it was exhilarating and it had me jumping up and down for one of the first times this season. So go ahead and leave a comment. Be sure to like the video. It helps other people find it, and also it lets us know that you actually enjoy it and that we should keep making these things. And then, of course, head over to whatdowewatch.com to get all of our content. As always, I'm Kovacevich, and I'll see you guys next time.